Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Success Quotes with Kelly. I'm Kelly. Each episode, we talk about a famous quote from a famous or maybe even not so famous person, and we really dig into the meaning of those amazing words of wisdom. And then we talk about how we can apply those words into our daily lives so that we can continue on our journey of constant and never-ending improvement. And I'm excited about this next episode. Let's get to it. Obstacles are those frightful things that you see when you take your eyes off the goal. Henry Ford. Hey everybody, thank you for joining me for the 5th episode of Success Quotes with Kelly. I have to ask you to please feel free to share, comment, give it a like or a dislike if you don't like it. But if you like the material and ensure you don't want to miss any more videos as they come up, please hit the subscribe button and hit that little bell, and you'll be notified when we have new episodes launching. I'm trying to make it weekly right now. Tell me, have you ever started out towards a goal and then you just hit something that either took you away from the goal, stopped you from achieving it, maybe delayed the goal, or just caused you to give up? This happens. This happens to a lot of people, and this is very normal. Too normal, actually. Why is that? We're going to unveil why that happens and how you can make some adjustments to avoid that from happening. And I'm going to give you some tools to help you overcome those perceived obstacles. Stay tuned to the end of this episode to get the full meat and potatoes, okay? We're going to discuss a quote from Henry Ford. Obstacles are those frightful things that you see when you take your eyes off your goal. All right, let's go to the intro. Okay, so it seems really obvious, doesn't it? Keep your eye on the goal. Simple, but somehow it's easier said than done, right? Let's talk about the obstacles that Henry Ford may have encountered. Let's talk about Henry Ford. Henry Ford was a highly focused individual who had very specific ideas and ideals, even from early on, from when he was a child. He was very mechanically inclined and could be found like tinkering around with motors most of his growing years and as a teenager growing up. In December 1879, he left his family home to go on his own and pursue his interests in machinery in Detroit, Michigan. And the rest is history. But after a lot of trial and error dealing with like investors and having to sell people on the dream, he finally succeeded in creating what we know today as the Ford Motor Company. And as a businessman and industrialist in his time in the early 1900s, Henry Ford's ideals and vision that he implemented into his business affected transformative and positive change in the world. Now, he died in 1947, but we can find so many quotes penned by Henry Ford. I think that you'll agree that he left a lasting legacy for the Industrial Revolution at the time, the city of Detroit, and the world of industry in general, and for the people that worked for him. He saw a challenge and he figured out a way. He looked for a way to overcome, was rarely satisfied. And that actually became a bone of contention with some of the investors in the very, very beginning. And then he found a way to get rid of investors, and it now is a family business still to this day. Now, first I should mention that he didn't invent cars. He didn't even invent the idea of the automobile. There were many car manufacturers already competing for business all over the world, but he saw an opportunity and he knew if he could overcome that challenge, then he could create a great business. And the first challenge or obstacle was that cars were just meant for the rich at the time. Only the rich and the upper class could afford to own an automobile. They were expensive to build. So he devised a solution for that. He had a goal: devise a way to build an affordable car that the working class could afford to buy. Now, there was no competition in that arena at the time. First challenge: design an efficient assembly line with no computers. There would have been a few obstacles with that. No computers. They had to draw it on a piece of paper. They had to go through trial and error. How many times did it not work before he was able to finally master that assembly line? But he made it happen. Then, as he was perfecting this idea and putting it into practice, another challenge presented itself: employee turnover. Now think about that. In those days, having a job making $2.34 per hour could actually provide for a family, but a man could go work anywhere he preferred to make that kind of money. He can go anywhere to make that kind of money. The Industrial Revolution was in full swing at the time. And to keep his factory full of 100 employees at the time, working the assembly line, he was hiring and retraining 300 men a year. And he discovered that that was incredibly costly. So what did he do? What he did is he more than doubled the wages of his employees, $5 per hour. Now, in today's money, that would actually be equivalent to $130 an hour. He calculated that the cost of turnover and training new employees over and over and over and over again was more costly than simply just paying people a good wage. But what happened is those people were able to buy his cars. And then the other offshoot of that was he quickly realized that if he paid his employees really well, then they could afford to drive, not only drive his cars that he made, but they would create more promotion of his own product at the same time. But the most important factor that he realized was that he began to attract the absolute best of the best to his factory. So he not only minimized costly employee turnover, amped up his business sales, but he created an environment where the employees felt like partners in the company. And this totally accelerated innovation and constant reinvention to keep his company producing affordable automobiles and constantly improving the product. That's pretty cool. That quote, "Obstacles are those frightful things that you see when you take your eyes off the goal," that was something that I'm sure he lived daily. And I think you'll agree that Henry Ford was more than qualified to give that advice. Now, let's talk about the application of that, okay? That's point A. Point B, that's the goal, okay? We're looking at the goal. That's the goal. We start traveling along to get towards that goal. You want to get to this goal, right? This is where you are, and this is where you want to go, or get to, or achieve, or succeed at. Now, here's the thing, 100% guarantee. Here's a 100% guarantee that I can guarantee to you. I can guarantee this. The absolute guarantee in life is that a challenge will present itself. An obstacle will have to be overcome along the way, every single time. There's no exception to this, none, every single time. So here we are at A. This is the initial kind of stage of dreaming or the conception of the goal, right? And sometimes we can actually feel some emotion, some excitement. I mean, it's true. We actually get an adrenaline rush in some cases pumping through us when we think about the achievement of that goal, right? Do you relate to this? So we all get excited and start putting forth effort and focus towards this new goal, but every single time, and usually very close to the beginning, when we set out, it's like, bam, an obstacle of some sort of challenge will arise. It won't go exactly how we choreographed it or pictured it up in our mind, right? Something unexpected will get in the way. Now, this can happen in many different ways. It can show up in many different forms. Sometimes it's a business challenge. Sometimes it'll actually be in the form of a life challenge. You never know. We can't know. We'll never know. Experience will help you avoid opportunities for some of those business challenges that arise, and that's just part of what experience does for you. But there are some challenges that you will meet during the course of your business that will appear as an obstacle, something in the way. And I'm sure you relate to this. And guess what? Here's the other thing. It doesn't discriminate based on how worthy the goal is. It doesn't matter. You may want to cure cancer or bring water to Africa or clean up plastic in the oceans or some other amazing thing for humankind or to save the earth, or you may decide to make a major life change and maybe move off a bumpy path of some sort and decide to clean up your life and do the right thing and just turn over a new leaf. And I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter how great your plan is and how wonderful it will be, or how you are now going to be a positive person and affect millions of lives. Challenges will still arrive. You will face challenges. And I'm sorry, but you're not going to be able to avoid this fact. Actually, I would argue that the more world-changing or life-changing or transformative it is, the more challenges you will face. So it will serve you well to get that in your head right now. It doesn't matter how worthy or righteous the goal is, you will face challenges or pain or heartache or have to dig deep to keep going. So does that sound daunting? Not very exciting, right? You can't avoid it. You can eliminate and you can minimize it. You can. If you want. You can stay comfortable. Don't take any risks. Don't think outside the box. Just do what the other 90% of people are doing. Don't shake things up. Don't expect any more of yourself or don't be a game changer. And honestly, you'll be okay. You'll probably be okay. Your challenges will be smaller. I would contest I gotta ask you, is that living your life to the fullest? Is that helping society? It's kind of a form of surrender, in my opinion. You're here right now watching this video, so I know you've gotten this far, that's not you. You want to be more, to do more, to be a force for positive change and experience all that life has to offer. Can I assume that? Am I allowed to assume that for you right now? All right. So what do we do then, right? What do we do? Here's how I've worked it out in my mind. It will either be a wall or it will be a speed bump. You see what happens visually here? If you feel that it's a wall, right? If it's a wall that's in your way, you suddenly can't see the goal. It becomes a blockage. It's something that will stop you. It's something that you don't feel you could get around or deal with. You just bang it into the wall. But imagine, same scenario. Here's the B, here's where you want to go, and here's the trail that you're starting to do. And it was just a speed bump. So you come up to it, and it's just something you got to get over. It's just something you got to get around. A lot of times we think the challenge is bigger than it really is, and you take your eyes off the goal. All you see is the wall. In the alternative, if you see that it's just a challenge, I call everything a challenge. We only face challenges. I use the word challenge in my vocabulary because to me that denotes something that can be overcome. It's a new challenge, a hurdle, speed bump. It may be challenging for me, but it's not going to stop me. I expect it. I don't invite it. I'm not excited about it, but I know I just have to, I just got to work through it. I got to figure it out. I got to learn something new, or I got to engage someone who knows more than me. I got to talk to my coach or my mentor. I got to take a course or simply just get creative and look for solutions to overcome the challenge. Because if I view it as a speed bump in the road, I still see the goal. It doesn't affect my vision. All it did was slow me down. That's all. So no problem. Does that make sense? But most people will not go there in their mind. They see a wall. And if you see a wall, a blockage or an obstacle that can't be moved, then you've taken your eyes off the goal. Then suddenly you've lost sight of the goal. The challenge is enormous to us when we begin to accept it as a blockage, bigger than it really is most of the time. And there are thousands and thousands and thousands of stories of people that have overcome enormous obstacles. Would you agree with me on that? To get where they got to, and we celebrate that. Like we love those stories. How many movies have us rooting for the hero overcoming enormous obstacles? We love those movies. We celebrate those movies. We love those characters, right? Don't we? What's your story? What is going to be your story? There's no such thing as lucky people or unlucky people. You are where you are today because of whatever you have allowed to occur in your past. Me included. All of the famous people that we talk about, like Henry Ford, knew that. He had a goal to make an 8-cylinder engine. Now he's successful now. He's a big name out there. It had never been done before. Everybody thought he was nuts. They thought he was out of his mind. They thought it was impossible. Henry Ford looked at it as a challenge to overcome. He'd already successfully made a 6-cylinder engine. Well, why can't we make an 8-cylinder engine? The goal was set. He moved towards the goal. There were obstacles along the way. There were challenges. There was doubters, haters, probably bad press, confusion, everything. But he kept his eye on the goal and he eventually achieved it. In episode 4, we talk about Roger Bannister and when he broke the 4-minute mile. Imagine that. Everyone in the world was totally convinced that the human body simply was not capable of doing it. It was just not possible. But then one day it happened. And then right after it happens, 2 months later, another person breaks the record. And since then, thousands of people have done it. They've broken the 4-minute mile. Imagine that obstacle. There was no proof. The thought pattern that was totally acceptable at the time was it just couldn't be done. Well, if Roger Bannister gave up and everyone would have said, well, I mean, hey man, sorry Roger, you tried, but we all knew it couldn't be done, so don't feel bad, Roger. I mean, you know, what if they say that to Mr. Ford? Well, Mr. Ford, hey, it's okay. We don't think we need an 8-cylinder anyway. It's okay. You're not a failure. It's just not possible. Imagine if that was accepted. Imagine if he accepted that the obstacle was real. If you're setting goals for yourself to achieve this year, for the remainder of the year, I want you to do 4 things, okay? Number 1, set a goal that stretches you a bit, something that you've not accomplished before. Number 2, make it specific. In my course, I use a system that I created and I teach it, and it's called the SMARTER goal setting. Number 3, read it to yourself every day, a minimum of 3 times a day. 3 times a day. Focus on the goal. Keep your eye on the goal. When the challenges arise, look for solutions to overcome. When a challenge arises, read the goal again. Penetrate your brain with that goal. Penetrate your brain. Do not allow yourself to put the goal to the back of your mind. And finally, number 4, as soon as doubt creeps in, because it will, or a challenge arises, because it will, remember the goal. Read it. Think about it. Picture yourself achieving it. Imagine it. Feel what it's going to feel like when you achieve it. Look for someone else who's achieved it. And remember, they just put their pants on the same way. They have bad hair days. They got challenges too. And that's all the proof you need. Then go back, get to work. If a challenge arises that's upsetting, do something positive immediately that's forward moving in another area of your business first. Replace that thing with a positive. Then go back, deal with it. Figure out how to overcome it. But don't allow it to bog you down and affect other parts of your business or other things that you're doing. Does that make sense? Do these 4 things and you will be unstoppable. I would love to read your stories below, or when you tell me what you thought about this episode in the comments below. Just give me a thumbs up or down if you haven't already. Please subscribe, share with others, help me reach more people like yourself. Thank you for that. Right now, for this YouTube channel, I have 85 subscribers or something like that right now. I want to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's my goal. Will you help me? I do this for free. All I ask in return is that you share it with others. Share this episode with your friends and associates. Remember, if you know of a quote that you feel you just, kind of just gets your juices going and it empowers you and you want me to talk about it in this series, put it in the comments and I will see if I can work it into the rotation for you, okay? If you're thinking about real estate, getting ready to take the exam, or you're maybe new to the business, then consider the 4X Formula Real Estate Training Program. This is made for you. It's an affordable way to get all the foundational aspects of the business in tune so that you can experience successes quickly. And we work on many successes. You constantly are succeeding in the program to give you the confidence to propel your business towards those goals. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching Success Quotes with Kelly. Make it a great day.